the life of the kids that I coach.
Mm-hmm.
I've lived what it's like to be, you know, a collegiate athlete. I understand that those years are some of the most formative years of your life, probably on the field and off the field. And so I think, and even if they want to go play professionally, like I've done that. So there's a lot of like their dreams and aspirations or their goals as players or as people that I've been able to walk in their shoes, literally, you know, just being a woman too. So
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like there's a special connection that I can have with my players that, and I'm not saying that men can't have that. I'm just saying it's different, you know, and I think that as women, we should feel really empowered and know that we have that leverage and nobody can take that away from you and use that to your advantage. And, you know, that's something I've talked to Tina about. Sometimes I'm like, Tina, you have played at every level, you know, even when I was encouraging her about the UW job, like I was like, she was like, kept focusing on, I don't have collegiate coaching experience. I'm like, but you're thinking of the small little,
Mm-hmm.
you know, circle in a big picture, you know?
I can't believe that. Like, I'm like my head's exploding that you're so humble to even think that. I'm like, to me, I'm like, they were probably knocking her door down. They came through and like made sure that they had the mayor and the president, well, or people, they had people, you know, just to make sure she got that. I love that humility. Oh my God. That's why you're going to continue to just evolve and just be the greatest coach of all time. But I think that's outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome.
So I want to get into the World Cup with you. Because you played in a World Cup. Like, what's a stand away moment that you can think of? Something stand out, or you know?
Well, I mean, playing in a World Cup, that's something that we all aspire to do. So, I mean, just that alone, I was just so proud, and my whole family flew out. Mac was there, my husband, my parents, and just having your parents in the stand. That's a great moment when you finally get called in and you step on the field, and it was just special. But I'm going to tell you this, Marta. When we played Brazil in that World Cup, she had this spectacular move against me. And I will forever, I became a better player for it. And I just remember I learned a hard lesson in that World Cup, in that, and I would like to say this, I mean, there was 10 times her and I were in a 1v1, and 9 times I stopped her. But that one time,
that heel flick, the flick.
The flick, everyone knows about it. I always like to say, "You're welcome, Marta, you're welcome." But no, it's moments like that made me at the highest level learn and grow. And I think that, the World Cup, obviously being there, the national anthem, Hand on My Heart, taking it all in. But I also, I will always remember that moment. That was a growth. That was hard. And I think that it made me the defender. I ended up playing against her again and again. And right, Kia, that didn't happen again, did it?
I love it. I was going to say, I was looking at the records that happened after that. I was like, I like the mentality, because they were talking about the least goals against when you guys were playing together and some different things, the records that you guys set. So you might have had one, but you probably had 1,000 after that. So.
And to be honest with you, Hope wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, she kept us in line.
I didn't hear about this. What was that like? Playing with, because Tina, you're real good friends with Hope, and then the three of you guys, two dominant defenders, and then probably one of the best, probably the best goalkeeper of all time in the back of the net. Tell me a little bit about that experience, because you guys are all intense. Like, so I can't even imagine that'd be terrifying, actually.
Kia, you got this one.
Yeah, the thing is, Hope is, she's one of the most unbelievable people I've ever met, and I mean that in the best way possible. When I was a rookie coming into the league, I feel like she taught me so much about the game, about what it meant to be a professional athlete. About advocating for yourself, about because you don't really know that stuff unless you really know it. So coming in as a rookie, I was just young and naive, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. We're playing professional soccer, and she, we would sit down and have conversations and evaluate games, and we would get in arguments about well, no, Tina should have stepped there and I should have dropped, the thing I loved about Hope is she gets up and reads the New York Times every morning. She's always reading. always, you know, trying to stay up to date with the news, and you know, and she might be an opinionated person, but it comes from something, and I appreciate that. So you know, she demands excellence, and I think that's what me and Tina tried to you know, do and perform on a daily basis, and I loved it because it was such a growing experience. It was, you know, sometimes we would learn from a mistake, and then, you know, sometimes we would learn from our triumphs. And even during the game, Tina would always be, should I have stepped there, or should you? Okay, next play, you got this, you got this. Like,
I love it.
Like the way she was talking about how, you know, she would talk with other players on the national team. She was talking like that with me, you know, and here I was coming in like as a young rookie, and I just felt like I learned so much. I was so lucky to have that experience and that opportunity. And you know, Tina, she alluded to like the harsh side of being a defender. You can stop somebody 9 times, and that one time they get a goal, and that's what's remembered. Whereas if you're a forward, you can miss the goal 9 times and have that one shot that goes in, and you're the hero. So, but I think we really pride ourselves in defending and what it means to shut down some of the best players in the world. And you know, those are some of the best years of my life. So.
And that's probably what makes you guys who you are, is that like you're fearless in the regard, like you have a Marta on you and you're like, I'm going to shut her down. Who says that? You know what I mean? But that's who you guys are, you know? So it's awesome. It's an amazing thing. So Tina, just for you, your daughter is now a star player. Like was that her freshman year? So you're now not only a coach, but you're a soccer mom now, like, and you're intense. What is this experience like now?
Well, I love it because people ask, like, Tina, how did you do it? How did you have a child in college? How did you play on the national team with the child? How did you? And I just think it's wearing different hats. And for me, it's like, okay, mom hat on, everything's quiet. You know, okay, soccer hat on, you know, coaching hat on. And I really try to make sure I do that with Mac. And I think for me, like, I look back at my parents and how much they got to enjoy us kids playing, me, my brother, and my sister. And I really try to make sure that I do that. And don't get me wrong, I may know a lot about the game and I'm like, oh, why is she doing that? Oh, oh yes. Like, I mean, I try my best to let it be her journey. I got to play. I got to take the game as far as I could. And so right now I just want to sit back and enjoy her. She plays for my rival school though. Can you say this out loud?
Oh, yes, say that. You're going to play against your kid.
Yep. So she plays for Wazoo. My husband's a Coug, so it was meant to happen, I guess. But, you know, it's going to be unique this year in having to coach against her directly. But, I mean, I think the person that she's grown into, the player that she's grown into, I'm proud of her. And like I said, I just wear my different hats and I do my best to kind of stay in the moment with all of it.
Oh, so exciting. So exciting. So what was the transition like for you guys from player into coaching? What was that transition like? Guys, this may have to be 2 parts because there's just such good stuff here. We have to have part 1 and part 2.
It was hard. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I had to, and my dad was kind of my mentor when I retired and then went into, because there's a standard that you want them to hit. And I had to kind of really tone it down. I'm coaching U13 soccer. I'm coaching, you know, U17. And so I had to really, you know, change my mindset as to just like the standard, like making sure that we're striving to it, but just changing that. And then also
I may need to call you about that, because I didn't play at the level you do, but I still think like that. I have to give you guys a call. I'm like, I don't think I stopped. Go ahead.
Well, and I think for me too, then I was like, okay, well, I had to kind of check myself. How do I want to be a teacher of this game? How do I want my athletes, when they leave from me, what do they feel? And I think for me, I want them to be encouraged and inspired. And so that is something that I kind of wrap my head around as to the kind of coach I want to be. And my dad really helped me kind of figure this out, in that I want to instill a belief in them. And I think that's kind of my approach now to coaching and all of it. Obviously, X's and O's and all of that, you got to break everything down. But I think what really drives me in coaching is just building that belief in players, building that, the love and inspiring, I think, is kind of what I've really had to kind of define how I want to coach. So I went from that intense, I used to play this, and then I had to kind of calm it down and then figure out, okay, how do I want to teach this game?
Yeah, I think for anyone who exits the game, whether it's on your own terms or not, for whatever reason. It's a tough transition for me. You know, I was coaching at Boston College at the time. I was also doing my MBA at Boston College, and to be honest with you, I forget what year it was, but I was playing with the Boston Breakers, and I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. I was going from 8 a.m. till you know, maybe 11 with training with the Breakers. Then I would drive to Boston College. I would be there till about 5, 6 p.m. And then I was doing my MBA at night, you know, till like 9, 10 p.m. So it was tough. And I called my coach and I said, hey, I got to take a year off and just finish my MBA here. And she understood. But at the same time, I think I was reaching a point 6 years after playing for 6 years that, you know, unfortunately, women, we have to make a decision in the career. You know, if you're not playing for the national team or have different endorsement deals going on and things like that, you know, it becomes a financial decision and a family decision. And you know, I hung up the boots probably earlier than I should have and could have. And so I think that was really hard. And I think the biggest thing is, you know, if that's your community and those are your friends and whatnot, like when you leave the game, it can be really scary because I was like, I kind of feel like a loser. I'm like, I felt like I didn't have any friends, you know, because those are the people that I would like rely on. I would call, I would hang out with. Like my whole life revolved around like hanging out with them. And so I had to like really try to, redefine like who I was as a person and reestablish those friendships outside of me being a teammate to them and things like that. So it was really, it's really tough. And I think that goes for all, you know, all athletes and definitely professional athletes.
Well, and I love that you said that, and that is something that we don't talk about enough as athletes. The retiring. When you retire, I was depressed. I mean, you literally have your friends and your teammates at like fingertips away, and then you move back home and they're all across the country, and like keeping those relationships, but then also like the identity of you as a player, like I mean, week in and day out, you were proving yourself, and then now all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore. So, I mean, that's a whole other topic in itself about, you know, how do you retire? Like, what are some things that we could do to help people kind of make that transition to whatever they want to become, whether it's coaches or not? But I mean, Kia, I love that you say that because it's tough. The retiring and letting go of playing was tough. Absolutely.
We actually may need to carve that out in the professional development. Anyhow, we'll have to circle back with that idea because you're not the only professional players who have talked about that. Even we just talked to DeMarcus Beasley. I talked to him a couple months ago, and it's just funny hearing it from different people. But I don't think it's easy for anyone that transition. And Gucci and Ye was the same thing. So that actually may be something we have to carve out. Very interesting. So let me jump in here with you, Kia, Miss Kia, and you winning your first Ivy League championship, going undefeated. Tell me about that experience. Like, did you know you had a special team? Like, did you have to do anything special? Was preseason different? Like what was going on there?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it's so funny to be in this situation we're in right now with this pandemic because 2019 was like amazing and 2020 is terrible. So it's just like a complete opposite ends of the spectrum. But
it's the worst.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I think it sparked from my team. We were able to go to the World Cup last summer. Every 4 years at Brown, we're allowed to go on an international trip. We went to the World Cup in France.
Yeah, we lost Claire during our season, the Lancers. Just kidding. She's like, I'm going to the World Cup. We're like, oh, you're one of our best players.
Sorry about that.
It's an experience.
Yeah. So we went to both semifinal games and the final, and I think for some of the players on my team, that was their first time going out of the country. For some of them, that was their first professional game. For some of them, that was their first time going to France. So like there were so many firsts and so many amazing emotions, and it was such an incredible bonding experience, learning experience. You know, we played two professional teams out there, and it was so amazing because obviously, like, I know this, and I'm sure you guys obviously know this as well, but like in Europe, soccer is life, you know, and so it was such a great thing for them to see, like how much like the country rallied around this game of soccer, where, you know, soccer in the United States, especially for women, is kind of like an afterthought. I mean, you're kind of seeing that now with the NWSL, and everybody's talking about all these other pro leagues that are starting, and they're completely forgetting that the NWSL is already playing. You know, so then just getting to the season, I felt like our team, we just had like this reinvigorated passion. I had a couple of my players tell me that they just fell in love with the game again, you know, and that kind of carried on into preseason. And I remember my captains came in after our first training session, and they just stand at the door. And any coach knows this, like when your captains come in and stand at the door, you're like, good or bad. And they just stand there and like, Kia, we are good. and honestly, like from that point on, like we just had such an amazing bond, like as a team. I have to give a lot of credit to our captains. They did a lot of work, like mitigating some of you know, the normal drama that might come about throughout seasons and things like that, so to allow the coaching staff to really focus on, you know, the field, the X's and O's, and kind of like the motivational piece to get the team going. But, you know, the Ivy League is interesting because there's no Ivy tournament. So whoever wins the league outright, that's who goes to the NCAA tournament. So every game is like a brawl.
I love it.
It's such a dogfight, and it's such an incredible conference from top to bottom. I honestly don't even think that the Ivy League gets enough credit for how competitive it is. And I think you kind of saw a glimpse of it this year with 4 of the 8 teams in the top 50 RPI, but I think it's going to continue to get stronger and stronger. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see like where this program was 4 years ago, and then where we are now as a program. It's a complete evolution, and I think that's like the proudest thing. Like a lot of people talk about this year and this season, but I think I look at the past 4.5 years and how we've evolved and grown, and I think that's what I'm most proud of.
Oh, I love it. You're a visionary long-term thinker. So it wasn't just like what we're going to do today. It's like, what does not only today look like, but what does the end of the season look like, and preparing properly for, you know, sustainability of your players, just to keep that fire and to keep that passion. Like, I love that part of that story, that your players then took it on. They saw, and this kind of spoke to me as you were saying it, the importance of representation, right? They got to see the best of the best in a country that loves the game on an entirely different level, the game that they grew up loving to play. They have a female coach, a minority, you know, and then they're seeing the best of the best playing this game, being strong, being powerful, and then they can just look at each other and be like, we're that too. Oh, yeah. Oh, come on now, take it with a church with it.
Say that again.
Oh my gosh, the power in that. No one talks about that enough. The importance, like, and we're talking about Leslie Galmore now taking over like the GA, the importance of that, who she is, who she's coached, Tina, you know, Hope Solo. And just that there's girls who can look around and say, yes, I can do that. I see it. I'm seeing it. I'm a part of that. I'm the next level. I love it, guys. This is so powerful. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So let's get into the heart and soul section of this. What is your favorite club? And I can't ask you guys country because that's clearly USA, so I'll take that out. But what's your favorite club team?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I feel like my favorite club to watch here in the U.S. is the North Carolina Courage, and I think that you know, Paul Riley was my coach in the pros when I played in Philly. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Him and I, you know, we still talk to this day. I was texting him after his game last night, you know, telling him how great they played. But I think it's really important as women coaches that you know, a lot of people talk about the EPL and different leagues in Europe and things like that, and they're all men. And you know, we show video to our players, and it's like Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo and then all these players, but it's like we have an amazing league of players here too. And so like I'm always gonna have my favorite team to watch be women, and hopefully in my own country as well. So
I love it. I love it.
And Debanya, she plays for Courage, right? Debanya?
Yep.
But I thoroughly enjoy watching her play. And I mean, just to echo kind of what Kia said, courage. I mean, I think to my 12-year-old daughter, who I remember we went and watched the Thorns and the Courage play the finals, and I just remember sitting in the stands with her and her like screaming Heather O'Reilly, McDonald, like it was just, it's inspiring that we have something that our kids can go and watch and see firsthand in our country. So absolutely spot on, Kia, to say that. And my country, our U.S. women's national team, are you kidding me? What they did in that World Cup was just priceless. I mean, how they, from game one all the way through, it's just the standard. And it's inspiring. I'm so thankful to have played amongst some of those women, and they just continue to be the excellence, the best. And so those are my favorites. Absolutely.
I also love, like, with the NC Courage team, because I used to be in Western New York, Rochester, New York. So there was a time when Marta was here, Christine Sinclair, well, not Christine Sinclair, no, she was here too. Alex Morgan, Carolyn Seeger. Alex Morgan was coming off the bench. So the starting three, I mean, it was a ridiculous team at that point.
I think I was playing for Paul then, and we lost in the final in PKs.
Yes, and oh my God, yeah, you guys were at least. So I coach out of that stadium now. That stadium that you guys played. Ashlyn Harris was in goal.
Oh yeah.
So my kids play in that, like, so my league, Rochester City Soccer League, my inner city league. That's where we coach out of. It's so awesome.
So I played on that field when Portland Thorns won it in 2012. Right, we played against Abby, Carly.
Oh
no.
What, it might have been like I don't think did they make it that far?
Rochester. That's where we played.
They both of them played. Oh, you're right. You are right.
2012. That was my time.
Sorry that I forgot that, but that's awesome. It's just amazing. But I love, again, that you guys understand the importance of, we got to, and I probably don't do it enough, but we got to really shout out the Women's National Soccer League. They're doing great work. We have phenomenal players, but I was going to talk about that team, the North Carolina team, and how diverse they are, and the sisterhood they have. And I wish the rest of the league would start looking like that. I know it's not, possible, but I love what that stands for. I love what it represents, especially with all the things that are going on. But such a diverse team, and it's not about that. It's just they go out there and they play phenomenal soccer. But you see all different faces, all different races. It's powerful to me.
Yeah, and that's so important that you bring that up too.
And they're the best.
And they're the best. And then I think of my girls, and I think of what my girls get to see on TV. Growing up, my idols were Brianna Scurry, obviously, but Gail Devers and Sprinter.
We had to go to track and field. My God,
me
too.
Go to track and field.
Mojo, Jackie Jenner Kersey, those are my girls.
Yep, those were my girls too. So
I had to go to basketball too.
Yeah. And so I'm just so thankful that, there is representation. There are, players out there that my daughter's wearing 19 now for Crystal Dunn for her new club team that she's been training with. And so it's those little things that are so important that we have for our future stars, right?
Yeah. And I think it's important that, sorry, Kia, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that I think that, people need to understand that, like, diversity wins. Diversity wins on the field. It wins in the boardroom. It wins in life. And so I think the more that people can see the point that you just made about, North Carolina Courage and the diversity on that team and how
the men's national team and our national team,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that people need to see that more, that, like, you can't have, like, one entity and expect to win. Like, you need all these different pieces to the puzzle and bring them all together and bring these powerful, athletes and minds and things together. And from that is something great happens. I even with my team at Brown, like, we're easily the most diverse team in the Ivy, and we were 6-0-1 this year, undefeated. And I do think it is a direct correlation to how diverse we are. We have people from, and I don't even just mean racially diverse. I mean from just different all walks of life too. So people need to understand that diversity wins.
I love it. Oh, that's awesome. And I think about, like, for me, like, what coaches I loved, like, I loved Pat Summitt. So it wasn't like I had a Black woman, coach that I could look up to, but Pat Summitt, the intensity that she had, the way her team but she still loved her players, right? So she'd get fired up. You see that look in her eyes, and I'm like, I want to play for someone that intense. It's like, I used to love it. But it's like, you guys all talked about,
She scared me through the TV.
Seriously, but I loved it though too. But she also, it's like, it goes on both ends. So she was that intense, but she also loves her players that intensely too. So when you guys were talking about your mentors, again, I need people to understand the importance of not just looking at mentors that look like you too. You said Kyle Riley, you said Leslie Gallimore. I just told you I loved Leslie, Pat Summit, and my club coaches, they're white. But I mean, I think it's important that we have a diverse network of coaches too. People who will advocate for you, people who will support you, people who want to see you succeed. Can you guys speak to that? Because I think it's so important for players, for coaches, for young coaches coming in, and even for coaches who are kind of stuck. What does your network look like? That can probably be your problem sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what I was alluding to, is you need to, like, if you think one way, you should hire an assistant that thinks a different way, and even with your team that you're building, you want one player that might be really good at this, but then you want to complement it with a different player who has different strengths, and together those two things make you stronger. So I think it's incredibly important to have a network. And I literally, like, during this quarantine time, I made a list of the people who I feel like in times of when I'm questioning things or need advice or need, whatever, I don't forget that I have great resources that I can go to. And they're men, they're women, they're white, they're black, they're my age, they're younger, they're older. It doesn't matter, and I think it just depends what motivation you need in that moment. But you need to have, like, diverse minds around you to help, because you might be in, like, one frame of thinking and you can't get out of that until somebody else enlightens you in some way. So.
And I love that you say that too, because Key and I are taking a course together, coaching development course together, and they spoke about having, having three things, a mentor, somebody who's an ally, somebody who's going through it with you, and then somebody who's your encourager, somebody who is going to be your uplifter, who's going to, help you through the highs and lows. And so, I've been sitting and thinking, who are those people for me? And I'm so thankful that I have many. And like you said, men, female, all of it. And, even the coach that I'm coaching with now, Nicole Van Dyke, I mean, I'm so fortunate. She's a mentor, like, to me now. And I'm learning so much from her, and I'm so thankful for that. And it's just so important that we have those resources of people. And I love, Kia, that you write that down, and now, in this need, you go here, and they're always going to pick up. I mean, I think of a Becky Burley. Becky Burley will pick up the phone anytime you need for anything. And
I love it.
Somebody who has been, a mentor for me as well. So I think that it's a beautiful thing, and it's something that we as coaches should use. Don't shy away from asking for help. Don't shy away from asking questions. You do not need to know it all. And I learned this from Tia. Like,
so good.
It's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up. And I'm, like, starting to kind of really wrap my head around that. So yeah.
It's so important, because I think, especially in our community, like, we have so many coaches who are afraid to be vulnerable and just say that, we do have weaknesses and we do have some strengths, but for the weaknesses, it's okay to pad that. Like, so for instance, I hate doing the daily stuff. So I always find I always have to find an operations person right away, because I already know that's not me. Right. So, and it's okay. And I have no problem saying that, because I know what my strengths are, and I know how I can be a better leader once you bring people in who can, and then you also allow people to use their God-given gifts and talents, right? Because when we're all trying to be everything, it's like, then there's someone that could have done that and has a gift in a unique way that you're not even empowering. So I always love, and here's another thing that I know in our group, I'm going to have to start introducing it to. People are afraid to argue with each other. It's like you want to have yes men around you. No, challenge me. It's okay. Like, it's going to make me think different. It's going to make us all better. But it's a space right now where a lot of people, they don't want to have a network because they almost feel like I'm supposed to know it all type thing. And it's like, you have a space to be vulnerable and to learn and to grow. You can't evolve that way. And then also, it's okay for people to challenge you. We have strong Black women joining our group right now, and I love it, because at first, a couple of the young ones were, like, afraid to, like, say things. And I'm like, this isn't that place where you're going to be afraid to if you have to challenge me, I welcome it. And you'll be surprised. And if you're right, I'll be like, yeah, we got to do that. So it's just one of those things, like, creating that atmosphere for growth and for just evolving. And it's all of us allowing ourselves to just be better. And it takes multiple different thought processes and people who are just different. And being okay with sometimes not having yes men. We can disagree, but let's debate, let's argue, let's find out what the best way is. In some way, it may not be mine, it may not be yours, but let's figure it out together.
Yeah, no, that was something when I was hiring my assistants. That was like part of the interview. I told them, like, that's not what I want. I don't want yes men. I don't want yes women. I want people who are going to think outside of the box, who are going to challenge me. Obviously, you know, when we step out on the field or when we're out of my office, you know, what I say goes, and we all have to stand together on that. But I want new ideas. Like even during this COVID period with us all working remotely, like, you know, you got to think out of the box. And so I love even just jumping on different webinars and things like that and trying to, you know, dial into different people's minds and things like that. I think that's how you grow, and that's how you get better as a coach. And you have to constantly evolve. You have to change. You can't stay one way, because, you know, things are going to surpass you. So you have to keep learning and growing. And I think that's the only way you can do it, is by surrounding yourself with people who are going to, you know, give you ideas. And maybe you don't take that exact thing, but it sparks a different idea, you know.
Always does too. It always does.
Yeah.
But I think you guys on the national team, I think that's one of the things I think that you guys are ahead of the game with, because you guys have to go on a field and literally try to kill each other for a spot. And you leave, no, I'm serious. I think about it all the time. Like because I watch some of the training sessions and it looks brutal sometimes, but then you all get on the field together and it's a real sisterhood. So I think that needs to be in a boardroom, you know, sometimes where I love things being peaceful and nice, but I think you can only have real change when everyone's kind of at this place where they're authentically themselves, they're speaking their mind. Because sometimes we're so busy trying to, and I'm a people pleaser, so I've broken myself out of that, right? You have to really have those real authentic conversations, say what comes to your mind, and allow other people to do that too. You know, and I always use you guys as national team players, like the way you guys train, right? Where it's everyone's bringing their best, everyone's challenge each other. It gets gritty out there, but at the end of the day, it makes you better. And it's why the U.S. is the best team in the world, is because you guys challenge and push each other that way. And then when it comes to all coming together, it's cake.
Yeah.
You've done the work. You've done the dirty work. I just love it.
Yeah.
Well said.
Okay. So here's a couple questions, because I know it's definitely gonna be 2 parts with this thing. But what is your God-given gift? What is it that you're gonna contribute to the world? What is it?
I think for me, just like with how my life has kind of gone, and just the influences of different people, and then just who I think is just inside of me and my core, is I wanna be a person that builds belief in others. Like, I want to lift people up. I want to be a belief builder. I don't know if that's the way to say it. But I aspire to lift others up. I enjoy it thoroughly. That is,
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I want to, like, I don't want to say educator, but I think that I really believe in the phrase, when you know better, you do better. And you know, there was a player even on my team here who, when I told her, hey, Brown doesn't offer scholarships, she basically, once we hung up the phone, she didn't talk to me again. And I was like, what the heck happened? Like, she loved it, you know, but she didn't realize that, like, oh, Brown has financial aid. Oh, I would be a full financial aid package. So here was this minority woman who just was thinking scholarship, but then, you know, would have missed out on an Ivy League education where, you know, essentially she would be getting a full scholarship anyway, but she didn't know it, you know. So I think for me, I just want to be like an educator, help people see opportunities in life, and you know, use soccer as a vehicle to open doors for other things. Like, you know, I don't want my players to define themselves as soccer players. Obviously, I want them to be the best player that they can be, but more so than that, I just want them to be really good people, strong women, strong leaders. And that's something that I always talk about with my team is, you know, I'm building you for your future job, you know, for your future relationships. So yeah, I think that would be my contribution.
Man, we have a generation of kids who are going to be blessed by you guys. I'm just telling you. If you guys weren't soccer coaches, what would you be doing?
Still playing.
Professional soccer player.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So guys, let's we're gonna wrap this up here. The last question is going to be, when this pandemic's over, what is the first thing that you are going to do?
Well, I know what my real answer is. No, honestly, like, so every year my sister and I we book a trip like out of the country, and it's more so like neither of us have kids currently. We're not married or anything like that, so like we try to utilize this time to like travel. We both love to travel, and you know, we obviously haven't been able to do that, but I think definitely would want to, you know, go on a vacation somewhere. But to be honest with you, I just miss my team. I just want to be with my team.
Yeah.
And I haven't even got to meet my team. I just got hired on, and I haven't even, I mean, I've got to see them through Zoom, but I haven't even physically got to meet them. So I'm just looking forward to being up at the University of Washington. I haven't even moved up there yet, you guys. So, I mean, there's lots of things that I can't wait to get there. I can't wait to walk the campus again. I can't wait to, you know, step on that grass of you know, our home field. And I mean, and again, I would love to go on a vacation too. I will add that. Kia, I think I'm going to be joining you. I'll leave the kids with Brad, and I'll go with you and your sis.
Yeah.
So guys, thank you so much. You guys are excellent. We value you. I'm so glad that you guys are on my strategic leadership group. You guys are people who are just going to make us, you're taking us to a whole different level and standard just with what you bring. Our kids are fortunate to have you guys as coaches, the generation. So guys, just keep up the good work. Know you have thousands of us supporting you, and we appreciate everything and all that you do. So I'm excited for this edition. This is going to bless everyone. And guys, all the best with everything.
Thank you so much.
Can we say something? You're amazing, by the way. Kia and I, like, we get on the phone to each other, and I just love your energy. I love that you have a heart to push these types of discussions forward. I love what you do for our community, the soccer community. I mean, Nicole, I can go on and on and on. It's an honor to be talking to you, and I know Kia and I were like, she's the real deal.
Oh my God, stop it! Like, I'm like a fangirl here, and stop it. I'm gonna have to play this over and over again. Like, I watched you guys play. Like, I'm a fan here. I'm like, I put this together just so I can hang out with you guys.
We're real thankful we got to be here. So thank you so much for having us and having me, and it's been awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right.